Welcome to Zoe Stories. I woke up as my sister. I never thought I'd wake up one morning and feel like a stranger in my own body. Not in some metaphorical sense, but literally. My name is Steven, and up until now, I had lived a life that looked normal on the outside: college student, part-time barista, average social life. But beneath the surface, I harbored a secret I didn't dare share with anyone. I loved dressing as a woman. It wasn't just a hobby or a fleeting curiosity. It was a part of me I explored in the quiet solitude of my room, away from prying eyes and judgmental stares. I never expected this secret to collide with my everyday life in the way it was about to. I lived in a small apartment on the third floor of a quiet building, far enough from the bustling city streets to feel removed, but close enough that I could walk to class and my favorite coffee shop without much trouble. My apartment was modest, decorated with soft tones and a few potted plants I'd managed to keep alive. It was my sanctuary, the only place where I could truly be myself without fear. On the walls hung posters of vintage fashion magazines, high heels, elegant dresses, and hairstyles I admired from afar. Every item in that room reflected the part of me I never dared to show the world. And then there was Olivia, my girlfriend. Sweet, caring, and intuitive in a way that made me both grateful and terrified. She didn't know about my secret. I had convinced myself over the months that I could keep it hidden, that it didn't need to intrude on our relationship. Olivia thought of me as straightforward, even slightly traditional at times, but that wasn't the whole truth. Behind closed doors, in the soft glow of my vanity lights, I was someone else entirely. Olivia's presence in my life was complicated. I loved her, I really did, but being around her also made me feel the weight of my hidden desires more acutely. I wanted to tell her, sometimes, yet the fear of judgment held me back. She noticed little things sometimes: the careful way I organized my closet, the subtle shimmer of a nail polish I once tried in secret, but she never asked. And I never told. It was easier to keep it buried, tucked behind the image of the normal boyfriend. The morning it all changed started like any other. Sunlight streamed through the thin curtains of my bedroom, casting golden stripes across the floor. Birds chirped outside, an innocent soundtrack to a day that would soon feel anything but ordinary. I yawned and stretched, my mind still half asleep, and that's when I noticed something was off. My hands, they were smaller, delicate, and impossibly soft. My reflection in the mirror across the room made me freeze. The person staring back at me wasn't Steven as I knew him. It was my sister, or at least it looked like her. Her face, her hair, even the subtle curve of her jawline. It was all impossibly familiar, and yet terrifyingly alien. My heart raced, a mixture of panic and disbelief. I wanted to scream, to run, to do anything to wake up from what I assumed must be a bizarre dream. But the mirror didn't lie. Every feature, every contour, screamed that I was trapped in her body. I sank to the edge of the bed, my mind spinning in 1,000 directions at once. How could this have happened? Was this some sick prank, some impossible twist of fate, or a punishment from the universe for the secret I'd kept so closely guarded? Panic clawed at me, yet beneath it, there was a strange, unsettling curiosity. I felt her body, my sister's body, as if it was mine, yet entirely new. My hands brushed over my face, tracing the familiar lines that somehow weren't mine. My hair fell softly around my shoulders, golden and silky, something I'd envied in her for years. I thought of Olivia immediately. She would notice something was wrong, of that I was certain. The thought of facing her in this body sent a shiver down my spine. How could I explain this? Could I even begin to explain it without sounding insane? And yet, a part of me couldn't help but feel a flicker of something else, an eerie, forbidden excitement. I had always loved dressing as a woman in private, and now, in some incomprehensible twist, it felt as if life had forced me into that role entirely. The apartment felt different too, unfamiliar in its intimacy. Every object I touched reminded me that my world had shifted. I moved cautiously, testing the weight of this new reality. My sister's clothes were folded neatly on the bed, and I found myself staring at them, heart pounding. I had never dared to wear them before, always afraid of discovery, but now they seemed inevitable. A dress, soft and pastel, lay there as if beckoning me. My hands trembled as I reached for it, feeling a mixture of fear and exhilaration. I glanced at the door, half expecting someone, my sister, Olivia, even a neighbor, to barge in and shatter this surreal reality. But the apartment was silent, holding its breath with me. I knew I had only moments to gather myself, to process what had happened, and perhaps to confront the secret desires I had long suppressed. Could I navigate this day as her, or would every step I took unravel the fragile balance of my life? As I stared into the mirror again, I saw her face, my face, and yet a stranger's face all at once. The reality of my situation sank in. I wasn't dreaming. I had woken up as my sister, and nothing would ever be the same. The first moments after realizing I was in my sister's body felt like walking through a nightmare painted in vivid color. Every movement reminded me of the impossibility of my situation. I touched my hair again, silky strands slipping through my fingers like water, and tried to steady my breath. I wanted to scream, but no sound escaped. The room, familiar and comforting just hours ago, now felt like a labyrinth designed to trap me in someone else's life. I glanced around, taking in the details of my sister's room. Posters of pop stars and fashion icons lined the walls, her world reflected in every corner. Her books were stacked neatly on the shelves, her diary lying innocently on the desk. The scent of her shampoo lingered in the air, soft and floral, a stark contrast to the coffee-scented chaos I was used to in my own space. It was overwhelming. I couldn't believe I was inhabiting this world so completely. Panic and curiosity wrestled inside me. My hands instinctively reached for her clothes. A light blouse caught my eye, soft, silky, and feminine. I hesitated, my mind racing. Could I dare try them on? Should I even think about it? My internal struggle was intense. A lifetime of secret desires and small indulgences in my own space had never prepared me for this level of reality. Yet, the blouse seemed to call to me, an unspoken permission to explore this unexpected transformation. I slipped into the blouse, and as the fabric brushed against my skin, a strange thrill ran through me. It wasn't just the clothing, it was the identity it represented. I was her now, literally and completely, and every sensation heightened my awareness of it. My hands trembled as I touched the curve of my shoulders, the smoothness of my arms, and I realized how much I had fantasized about this in secret. But fantasy and reality were colliding in ways that were both exhilarating and terrifying. Looking in the mirror again, I saw my sister's eyes staring back at me, her eyes, but my mind inside them. I ran my fingers along my lips, noticing the subtle fullness I had never had, the softness that contrasted sharply with my own rougher features. A strange mixture of excitement and dread surged inside me. I felt exposed, vulnerable, yet undeniably alive. The reflection seemed to challenge me. "Who are you really, Stephen?" The thought made my stomach twist. But reality hit again, Olivia. She would notice if something was off. Even if she never suspected my secret, she knew me well enough to notice subtle differences. The thought of her walking in at any moment made my heart hammer. I moved cautiously, almost on tiptoe, as if her presence could somehow manifest through the thin walls. The threat of discovery was immediate and suffocating. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind against the window felt amplified, reminding me of the stakes. I explored further, opening drawers and cabinets, feeling the tangible difference between her belongings and mine. Her makeup was laid out neatly on the vanity, lipsticks, eyeliners, blushes, all tools I had secretly admired but never dared touch beyond the occasional experiment in my own space. My fingers hovered over a tube of lipstick, the crimson shade daring me to try it. My pulse quickened. Could I? Should I? The answer seemed obvious, yet a wave of anxiety gripped me. Eventually, curiosity overpowered fear. I picked up the lipstick, twisting the cap open, and with trembling hands, applied it carefully. The color smeared slightly at first, but as I wiped it gently with a tissue, a shocking sense of satisfaction flooded me. Looking in the mirror, I hardly recognized the reflection, not just my sister's face, but the expression of someone who was discovering a hidden side of themselves. My heart raced. This was more than cross-dressing, it was becoming her, and in doing so, I felt both exhilarated and dangerously exposed. Every small movement felt amplified. I shifted my hips, aware of their new curves, and adjusted the blouse over my shoulders. The physical sensations were dizzying, reminding me that my body was no longer my own. Simple acts like bending, turning, or walking across the room carried a weight I had never experienced. I felt delicate, fragile, and yet powerful in a way I couldn't fully explain. Then came the inevitable self-comparison. I thought of Olivia, her image, her voice, her understanding of me, and wondered how she would react. Would she ever accept this version of me? The thought brought both hope and fear. I had always desired acceptance, yet now, in the rawest possible sense, it seemed impossible. Every instinct screamed to hide, to retreat, yet a rebellious curiosity urged me forward. And then a noise. The faintest click from the hallway outside made me freeze. My pulse spiked. Someone was there. Was it Olivia? My sister? A neighbor? I held my breath, pressing my back to the wall. My mind raced. I wasn't prepared for an audience. Was I even ready to face anyone like this? The lipstick, the blouse, the unfamiliar curves, they would all betray me. Every second stretched like an eternity. I realized that the thrill I felt while exploring my sister's identity came hand in hand with vulnerability. Every glance in the mirror, every brush of fabric against my skin, reminded me that I was living a secret in someone else's body. And yet, despite the fear, I couldn't stop. My reflection beckoned me to explore further, to embrace the impossible reality I had been thrust into. The danger of discovery lingered, sharp and immediate. I couldn't shake the thought of Olivia returning, of someone noticing the changes in my voice, my posture, my gestures. The suspense of the moment gripped me tightly, making each decision feel monumental. Should I hide? Should I run? Or should I embrace this chance to fully become her, even for a moment? I took a deep breath, steadying my nerves. If I was going to navigate this impossible day, I would have to balance fear with curiosity, secrecy with exploration. Every heartbeat reminded me that the stakes were real, and that my journey into my sister's life had only just begun. I knew I couldn't stay frozen forever. Each second felt heavier, the weight of her life pressing down on me. I moved cautiously to the closet, heart pounding, hands trembling. My sister's clothes were neatly arranged, a kaleidoscope of colors and textures that seemed to mock my uncertainty. Dresses, skirts, blouses. I felt a shiver of anticipation mixed with guilt. Could I really wear these? Could I truly step into her life, even if only for a day? The decision was impulsive, yet irresistible. I picked a soft pink dress, delicate and flowing, its fabric almost whispering against my fingertips. I held it against myself, feeling the way it would hug my new curves. My reflection in the mirror seemed to watch me, silent and expectant. With a shaky breath, I slipped into it, the sensation of fabric against skin sending an unexpected thrill through me. I adjusted the hem, ran my hands along the waistline, and caught a glimpse of myself fully transformed. The mirror reflected someone both familiar and foreign, my sister, yet me inside her. The emotional shock was intense. I felt both exposed and exhilarated, my heartbeat a frantic drum in my chest. For years, I had experimented in secret, but nothing compared to this total immersion. I could feel the subtle sway of the dress as I moved, the unfamiliar lightness of her body, the rhythm of walking in her shoes. It was intoxicating, yet terrifying. Every movement reminded me that I was living a secret I could not easily reclaim. I turned my attention to her makeup, laid out meticulously on the vanity. Lipsticks, eyeshadows, blushes, all tools I had long admired from afar. My hands hovered over a palette, unsure whether I had the courage to proceed. But something inside me pushed forward, a mix of curiosity and a need to embrace the impossible. I picked up a brush, sweeping soft colors over my cheeks, blending, contouring. Each stroke altered the reflection I faced, amplifying the surreal sensation of being her. Then came the shoes, heels, delicate and elegant. I had always feared the balance required, the vulnerability of standing taller, walking differently. Now, as I stepped into them, my stance shifted, my posture corrected itself instinctively. Each movement became a study in grace, each step a reminder of the new identity I inhabited. I could almost feel her presence in the way I walked, the subtle sway of my hips, the delicate tilt of my shoulders. The thrill was undeniable, yet it came with an ever-present anxiety. The apartment remained quiet, a deceptive calm that heightened my awareness. I imagined Olivia walking in at any moment. How would she react? Would she recognize me? Would she notice the change in voice, the delicate movements, the unfamiliar fragrance clinging to my clothes? The thought made my stomach twist, a mixture of fear and anticipation. The stakes were higher than ever, yet I couldn't stop myself from exploring. I practiced gestures in front of the mirror, adjusting my posture, tilting my head, trying to capture the essence of her presence. My internal conflict grew. Part of me wanted to retreat, to escape back into my own identity, to hide from this impossible situation. But another part, the part that had longed for this freedom, this exploration, urged me onward. I felt a strange empowerment in stepping fully into her life, a sensation both thrilling and disorienting. Suddenly, a sound from the hallway made me freeze, a soft thump, as if someone had knocked something over. My pulse skyrocketed. I pressed my back against the wall, clutching the dress as though it could shield me. The apartment seemed to shrink, every corner a potential threat. Could it be Olivia? My sister? Or just the neighbor? Each possibility carried a weight of danger, and I realized that every second I stayed in this body, every moment I inhabited her life, risked exposure. I had to act. Slowly, cautiously, I moved to the window and peeked through the curtains. The street below was empty, a few scattered pedestrians oblivious to my secret turmoil. Relief washed over me, but only briefly. I knew that the real danger wasn't outside, it was inside. The temptation to explore further, to fully embrace her identity, was inescapable. I sat on the edge of the bed, looking at her reflection once more. The excitement, the vulnerability, the thrill, they all collided inside me. I realized that I was learning something about myself, about desires I had kept hidden for years. I wasn't just cross-dressing in secret anymore. I was living it in the most literal, intimate way possible. And with that realization came a new fear. Could I ever return to my old life? The day wore on, and I experimented more boldly. I tried on different outfits, each one a step deeper into her world. I styled her hair, adjusted her accessories, and moved through the apartment with an awareness that was both exhilarating and frightening. The mirror became a confidant, reflecting not just my image, but the emotional journey I was navigating. Each glance revealed a new facet of identity, a new question about who I was and who I could become. And then came the first real test. I heard the faint sound of footsteps outside the apartment. Olivia, returning early. Panic surged through me. My hands shook as I smoothed down the dress, brushed my hair, and tried to compose myself. Could I act normal? Could I play the part convincingly? Or would every movement betray the impossible reality I now inhabited? The suspense was unbearable. Every second stretched endlessly as the footsteps approached. My heart pounded, a relentless reminder that my secret was on the verge of exposure. I had to make a choice: hide, flee, or face the challenge head-on. The stakes had never been higher. And as the doorknob began to turn, I realized that nothing would ever be the same. The door clicked, and I froze mid-motion, my pulse hammering in my ears. Olivia. The sound of her keys dropping into the bowl by the door sent a jolt of panic straight through me. My hands shook, brushing down the dress I was wearing as if it could somehow erase my identity in this impossible body. I clutched the hem nervously, realizing that every second counted. If she saw me like this, I couldn't even imagine the consequences. I moved slowly, almost gliding toward the closet, desperate to find something that could make me look normal, or at least believable. My sister's clothes were everywhere, a spectrum of femininity that now felt like both a temptation and a trap. Could I hide fast enough? Or would I have to confront her? The thought made my stomach twist into knots. Olivia's footsteps grew louder. She hummed softly, unaware of the storm raging inside me. I slipped behind the door of my sister's closet, pressing my back against the wall, praying she wouldn't notice anything unusual. My breath came in shallow gasps. Every noise, the creak of the floor, the faint rustle of my dress, felt amplified, like a beacon drawing attention to my impossible secret. And then a voice. Olivia called out, "Stephen? Are you here?" I froze. My mind raced. Should I respond? Could I respond? I opened my mouth, and a high-pitched, unfamiliar voice escaped, my sister's voice. Panic surged as I realized I couldn't control it. Yeah, I'm here," I stammered, my words faltering in the foreign tone. The suspense was unbearable. Olivia paused in the hallway, sensing something was off. "You sound different. Are you feeling okay?" Her concern sliced through me, and I wanted to reach out, to explain, to beg for understanding, but the words wouldn't come. Every second stretched into an eternity, every heartbeat a countdown to exposure. I tried to steady myself, moving carefully, but in my anxiety, I tripped over a shoe, one of her heels, and it clattered loudly across the floor. Olivia gasped, stepping into the room. Her eyes widened as she took in the scene. Me, or rather my sister's body, dressed in her clothes, lipstick smeared slightly from my trembling hands. Time seemed to stop. I could feel the weight of every second pressing down on me, every heartbeat threatening to give away the impossible secret I now lived. Olivia stepped closer, confusion and concern written across her face. "Stephen, what happened?" I swallowed hard, trying to find words, but my mind was a whirlwind of fear and desperation. I don't know. I woke up like this," I finally whispered, the truth sounding absurd even as I said it. Her eyes narrowed slightly, disbelief mixing with worry. "You woke up as her?" she asked, voice trembling. The absurdity of it mirrored my own thoughts, yet there was no denying the reflection in the mirror behind me. It was me or my sister, but undeniably altered. The tension reached its peak when the phone rang, startling both of us. Olivia jumped slightly, her hand brushing mine as she reached for it. The screen flashed with my sister's name. A call from outside threatened to expose everything, and I realized I had to act fast. I snatched the phone, fumbling to answer in a voice that was entirely wrong. "Hello," I said, high-pitched and trembling. The caller's voice carried urgency. "Hey, are you coming to the studio? We need you for the project. Today." Panic surged. I had no idea how to respond. My sister's life was demanding something I couldn't fulfill, and the pressure of pretending, of living her role while trapped in her body, was suffocating. Olivia's gaze locked onto me, piercing and inquisitive. "Stephen, you're lying. Something's off." Her suspicion was a blade slicing through my fragile confidence. I wanted to explain, to scream, to tell her everything, but the words were trapped in a whirlwind of fear and disbelief. I backed toward the closet, desperate for escape, but the hem of the dress snagged on the doorframe. The fabric tore slightly, a symbolic echo of the fragile barrier between my old life and this impossible reality. The sound drew Olivia's attention again, and she stepped closer, reaching out with gentle authority. "Stephen, whatever's happening, we can fix it. Just tell me the truth." The moment was electric, a collision of fear, desire, and uncertainty. I realized that I had to make a choice: hide forever in this new identity, or risk everything by revealing the truth. My hands shook, brushing my hair back, my lips trembling under the weight of lipstick I had applied only hours ago. Then the most surreal part happened. My reflection in the mirror, the stranger yet familiar face, caught my eye. For a fleeting second, I didn't see Stephen or my sister. I saw both, a hybrid of identities colliding, struggling for dominance. The mirror reflected the impossible nature of my predicament, the duality of who I was versus who I appeared to be. I reached out to touch it, and in that gesture, I felt both clarity and terror. Olivia stepped closer, and the moment of truth arrived. Stephen, I don't understand, but I'm not going to leave you alone. Whatever this is, we'll face it. Her words were a lifeline, yet they also forced me to confront the enormity of my secret. Could I trust her? Could I reveal the truth without losing everything? A sudden knock at the door jolted us both. The neighbor, or perhaps my sister's friend, was outside. Another threat to exposure. My heart raced. I looked at Olivia, her eyes wide with concern, and realized the stakes had never been higher. Every decision, every movement, could unravel the delicate balance of secrecy and identity I had struggled to maintain. As the doorknob rattled, I took a deep breath, standing fully in my sister's body, dressed and made up, every curve, every line, every detail undeniable. The suspense was unbearable, but so was the thrill of existing fully in this new identity. My hands gripped the hem of the dress, and I realized that no matter what happened next, nothing would ever be the same. The doorknob turned slowly, and the door creaked open. Olivia stepped aside, her eyes fixed on me, waiting, trusting, yet suspicious. And at that moment I understood the climax wasn't just about being discovered. It was about facing the duality of who I was, embracing the impossible reality, and navigating a world that now saw me in a way I could never have imagined. The doorknob rattled again, slower this time, deliberate. Olivia's eyes were fixed on me, wide with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and something I couldn't quite read. I held my breath, clutching the hem of the dress like a lifeline, my body trembling with anticipation and terror. Every second stretched endlessly, each heartbeat echoing in my ears as if marking a countdown to discovery. Then, from the hallway, came another sound, a soft, hesitant voice calling my sister's name. My stomach dropped. It was someone else, someone who had no idea I wasn't her. The impossible collision of lives, the secret I had guarded, the identity I had longed to explore, and the world that expected my sister, was closing in. I could feel my body stiffen, every instinct screaming to hide, to flee, to somehow vanish. Olivia stepped closer, her hand brushing against mine, grounding me. Stephen, whatever this is, we'll figure it out, she whispered, her voice a lifeline in the chaos. But even as her words wrapped around me, the fear didn't subside. If anyone discovered the truth now, if anyone saw me in this body, everything I had ever known, every secret, every hidden desire, could be shattered in an instant. I backed toward the closet, the dress brushing the floor, the soft fabric catching on the edge and tearing slightly more than before. My reflection in the mirror caught my eye, a perfect, impossible blend of my sister and me, innocence and forbidden curiosity interwoven. I had never felt more exposed, more alive, and more trapped all at once. The voice outside grew louder, impatient. Footsteps approached the door. Olivia's gaze never left mine. You need to hide, Stephen. Quick, she urged, pulling me toward the far side of the room. My hands trembled as I pressed myself behind the tall wardrobe, the space barely enough to conceal me. I could hear her breathing, steady and calm, while mine came in panicked, uneven bursts. The door opened fully and a figure stepped inside, someone I didn't recognize immediately. My sister's friend, perhaps, or a neighbor. My heart pounded as the light from the hallway fell across the room, glinting off the mirror and revealing parts of me I had tried so desperately to conceal. Every instinct screamed danger. Every second stretched longer than the last. I held my breath, the dress clinging to my body, makeup smudged slightly from nerves. The visitor's eyes scanned the room, lingering on the mirror, lingering on the figure of Olivia standing near the door. I could see the suspicion building in their expression, the curiosity that would soon turn into realization if I wasn't careful. And then, silence. The visitor tilted their head, studying Olivia, then glanced toward me, or rather, toward my sister's reflection in the mirror. Their lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. The tension was suffocating, a living, breathing entity in the room. I wanted to move, to speak, to do anything to avert disaster, but my body refused. Every movement felt like it would betray me, expose the impossible truth I now embodied. Olivia's hand tightened on my arm, grounding me. "Stay still," she whispered. "Whatever happens, we'll figure it out." Her calmness was a lifeline, yet the fear in my chest refused to release its grip. I could feel every bead of sweat forming on my forehead, every pulse racing through my body. The air itself seemed charged, heavy with anticipation, as if the room itself held its breath. The visitor took a cautious step closer, and I could feel the shadow of their gaze brushing against me. My mind raced with impossible scenarios. What if they recognized me? What if they guessed the truth? Could I explain it? Could Olivia help me? Or would everything collapse in an instant, revealing the secret I had hidden so meticulously, the identity I had only begun to explore fully? The visitor stopped just short of the mirror, their eyes narrowing. A faint smile touched their lips, one of curiosity, suspicion, and something else I couldn't name. And then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, they turned and stepped back toward the door. My heart leapt. Could it be? Were they leaving without discovering the truth? But the tension didn't lift. Not yet. The doorknob rattled again, slowly, deliberately. Another figure? Another threat? I swallowed hard, my hands clenching the hem of the dress, as if it could protect me. Olivia's eyes met mine, and in them I saw both fear and determination. We were trapped in this moment together, on the edge of revelation, teetering between exposure and survival. Time slowed. The world outside the apartment faded, leaving only the three of us. Me, Olivia, and the unknown visitor, each heartbeat a drum of suspense. The impossible collision of identities, desires, and secrets had reached its peak. And in that suspended moment, I realized that nothing would ever be the same, that every choice from this point forward carried weight I couldn't yet comprehend. The visitor's hand paused on the door handle. Their gaze flicked toward me one last time. And then, the screen fades to black.